Welcome to Screen Talk, the podcast about movies, TVs, and anything else that can appear on a screen. I'm your co-host, Sam, along with my wonderful co-host, Blue.
Blue.
I like how we did that in stereo there. How you doing today, Blue?
Well,
I know the answer to that, but I feel like we can't say this publicly.
Let's just know I'm bringing a certain chaotic, frustrated, angry mood to the podcast today, but I think it'll come off as fun and trying.
I can't wait. This is the energy that I need from you. Chaos energy.
I've got it all for you, so ain't no problem.
Well, I mean, I guess speaking of chaos energy here, you actually pitched this idea for this episode, and I thought it was a really unique idea. We are utilizing a website that you know of known as Character, where basically you take it's like a 50-question quiz or whatever, and then it tells you percentage-wise which characters in TV, film, and I think some books, who you're most like. And what we're going to delve into that a little bit. And then we picked one that was on the top of both of our lists as a character we identify, that the internet thinks we should identify with. And we're going to see how close and accurate that is.
Yeah, and I think this will be good for us because we've also known each other for like 6-7 years, maybe something like that.
Been a little while.
Yeah, it's been a while. So I think we can pretty accurately judge, yeah, this is like you or this is not like you between the two of us.
I was waiting for that old joke coming in. Blue likes to bully me, people. So so you're aware of that. Just gonna throw that out there.
I'm gonna plead the fifth on that one. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's a totally different thing when the camera's not on.
Right.
Yeah. So first off, you've done the character quiz before, but you redid yours for this because last time you did it was a couple years ago, right?
Yeah, and all my answers back then were really depressed. It was a lot of like Fleabag and like BoJack Horseman and like just like the saddest, like most mentally ill people ever. And now I think my list is a little less neurotic. It's still a little over the top, but I've got a lot more optimistic and positive characters. I got a lot of like Gomez Adams and that kind of character, you know. I was happy to see some of the progress in my own mental state by doing the quiz years apart.
You know what? And it must be nice because then you had me take this quiz. I was going through life thinking, you know what? I'm doing fine, right? Then I take this quiz, and I got primarily television show characters. I don't know if you recall this, but I'll eliminate because the first one is whatever her name is from Girls, the bad one.
Yeah.
Then I got George Costanza. Well, I love him. Not exact. Oh, don't you?
Right. That's so crazy. Why would they say that? Oh my God.
Some neurotics. Yeah. Okay. Followed by Nick Miller. If you've watched New Girl, he's basically a dumb, sad drunk. And then I got a bunch of villains. Gladys from the Portal series. If you're unfamiliar with that, listeners, that's a murderous giant robot who wants to torture a person for the rest of time. Syndrome from The Incredibles. And the Phantom from The Phantom of the Menace. Of the Menace. Nope.
Of the Menace. There it is.
You know what? I got Star Wars on the brain, and I blame you for that. The Phantom from the Phantom of the Opera. Before we landed on the one that we are going to review, because most of those are movies that we've either, I think, already seen, and most were television shows. So the character that we landed on for me that is I am, according to the internet, 79.2% like is. I can't say, without giving anything away, I can't say his actual name. It's Verbal from The Usual Suspects.
Played by Kevin Spacey, your favorite.
and I'll say it. I'll publicly say it. He was legitimately like, it was like, he was the best actor. My favorite. He for sure was. But
he's incredibly talented.
He is. It's just now I can't watch a movie. Like, I don't know. Have you ever seen American Beauty?
Yeah. Little on the nose.
Amazing movie. Unwatchable now because it's like you said, it's the reality of what he did is so close to what that movie is. Unwatchable.
Yeah. R.I.P. Kevin Spacey's career.
Yes.
Rightfully so, but
100%.
He was very talented.
Yes, but I genuinely did love his movies. Now, for The Usual Suspects, what's your relationship with this movie?
I had never seen it, or I don't even think I've heard of it until we got to this. Yeah.
Okay. So I had for sure seen this when I was like a kid, or at least bits and pieces. I feel like that, because I'm old. I think this is a movie that was in like high rotation, like on the cable networks. And it was a movie that, like, I want to say was very influential. The twist is something that has been parodied and done I would say probably at this point hundreds of times. And there's a few scenes in this that are sort of iconic, the lineup scene in particular. But yeah, other than knowing the twist, I did not remember a single fucking thing from this movie. So it was kind of like a fresh rewatch.
Yeah. This movie came out like before I was even born. So it was like,
You're so young. I know. I get it.
I'm just so young and like I just don't remember things like Usual Suspects or like 9/11 or anything. So I don't remember any of that. So
yeah, I know. I was 7 when this came out, so I basically drove myself to the theater and
and bought the ticket with your hard-earned cash
with my money that I made at my full-time job.
Yep. Sounds right to me.
Listeners, I want you to start taking notes. Blue is a bully.
No.
That's what this whole podcast is about, is to out them as a bully.
It's exposing me the whole time.
I'm taking you down.
See, I could be mean there, but I'm not going to. So maybe I'm reformed. I was going to make you already like this age. Like, will you even remember like by the end of the podcast?
See, there it is. I was going to say, you'll just wait till we stop recording, but you couldn't even do that.
No, I'm okay with that existing on the internet. I think people will get that we're funny, silly little guys.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm a punching bag. I get it.
Right. Okay, yeah. Let's just see what you have to say about Annie Hall. Okay, I don't. Let's just leave that there.
She was a beautiful lady.
She was. I'll give you that.
Cool. So, all right. So we're gonna cover The Usual Suspects a bit. Our opinions on the movie, and then you're gonna sort of tell me what you saw as maybe being similar. Cool. So I'm going to go to you first on this because this movie is largely built on the twist of the movie, which I knew going into it. And I feel like when people talk about this movie, or when they talked about this movie, like when it first came out, I think like it blew people's fucking minds. Like I think shit flew out of their asses and like they were like, holy shit. And you did not seem to have that reaction to the grand twist here.
No. I don't know if it's the autistic pattern recognition or what, but I'm pretty good at predicting themes and storylines and things. Am I perfect? Am I flawless? Have I considered every single option? No. But it does take a lot to surprise me. And the minute that Kevin Spacey's character was dragging his foot, I was like, you fucking faking idiot. Like, don't fucking play with me, bitch. Which is so funny because I can spot those things in books, in movies. I can spot those things so incredibly easy. But when it comes to my own life, I am a fool. I am a fool and I am naive and I am dumb. But I have a special ability for content like that. So I was already suspicious at that point, which is very early. It's like before the lineup scene.
Yeah, and can we say here, because normally we would not review a movie like this in this fashion, but I feel like if we're going to talk about this movie, there's no way we can't spoil the end at the beginning. You know what I mean?
No way.
So if you haven't seen The Usual Suspects, I highly recommend you do. I think it's actually a very fun movie. What we're referring to is the whole movie is being told, but from the perspective of Kevin Spacey's character to the police, as if he is one of the victims,
Usual
quote unquote.
suspects.
Yes. Turns out, though, it is revealed that he is in fact the mastermind, killer / criminal, hive mind, whatever you want to call him. He's behind everything, and he's a total fucking liar too. So yes, that's what we're referring to as, and Blue, pretty much, we have not discussed this movie one iota, other than the fact that you texted me and you're like,
I fucking knew it.
You're like, I nailed the twist like immediately.
Yeah, I wasn't for sure at that point, but I was like, oh, you're fucking faking, you dumb idiot. And and then it got to the scene where he's convincing, I believe his name is Keaton, and he was convincing him to join in the group. And the perfect manipulation of that whole scene and riling him up to get him to punch him, and then this, and then feel bad, and then hear him out, and this whole like they're not gonna let me in if you're not there, blah blah. Oh my god, it was perfect.
Poor me, I'm just a weak little man.
Yeah. And you know what, for me, I was like, this manipulating asshole, and I was like, I've been to a lot of therapy. Like, wow, wait, I actually saw that. That's fun. Again, in real life, has it ever happened? No.
So I was curious. I really would like to hear if, I mean, obviously this will be early in the show of our podcast. Who knows how many listeners or followers we're going to have. I would love to hear what people's, if everyone else who saw this cold knew the first time, because watching it again, knowing the twist, but not remembering the fucking movie at all, I also was like, it is so fucking obviously him, but I couldn't tell if it was just because I already knew, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then you came in and were like, with your fucking Sherlock pipe in your mouth and figured it out immediately.
I don't trust that guy. Something about Kevin's face, he doesn't seem trustworthy.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine what it would be.
Oh my god. Yeah, immediately I was like, okay, all right. And then I almost was like, to the point I was like, I didn't get reconvinced otherwise throughout the movie, but there was that very focused interrogation scene before he lets him go, right at the very end, where he gets away. And I was like, and he's like freaking out, and he's like, oh my god, no, he is Kaiser Sose, oh my god, blah blah blah. And he's like emotional. I was like, how long are you gonna do this? Like, I know who the fuck you are. And then this guy the police officer drops his little fucking coffee cup, and I'm like, he was telling you the whole time. He was mocking you to your face. Like, I was so mad that scene felt like it took way too long, because at that point I'm like, he's literally fucking with you right now. Like, he's literally just waiting to get the fuck out of here. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And I was so mad. And
that's the scene that has been parodied in like a lot of things, where the dropping of the coffee cup, the looking around the room and realizing, that the guy has just been, which is what I find somewhat frustrating about this movie, is I don't know what is real and what is not in this movie, because so much of what he is telling you, you can tell he's just making up on the fly. So, you know what I mean? Like, what was real and what wasn't is my question. And I don't know if there really is an answer. There probably isn't.
I guess there isn't. I mean, it's not like direct, I guess I would say, in the actual movie, but you would just say I think there's a logical sort of events that happens about okay, it makes sense that this was the plot. I do think he went to kill that guy because that was the only person who could identify him, and that's the whole thing. And
I think
getting everyone else involved in it, that stuff makes sense.
You can't really fake the blowing up of the boat either. Kind of figure,
Yeah, kind of had to go.
Yeah.
I will say though, I loved the movie. Even though I was like, oh, Kevin's face, I fucking know it's you, bitch. I knew it. I could smell it. And but I really liked it. It was 4 out of 5 for me. I thought it was really well done.
I saw your Letterboxd score, so I kind of knew it was going to be good. But yeah, I also thought it's super fun. I mean, I will say for both movies this week, we're coming in right at 90 minutes, which Love that. Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking why can't Hollywood do that anymore? No, we need 4 hours to tell the Avengers.
And sometimes a movie does need to be very long. But
And sometimes it does, but not as much as it. Almost every movie's 3
Yeah.
hours nowadays.
yeah, if you can't get in and tell a story in a shorter amount of time, that's good. I'm killing you.
Yeah.
That's it.
And I'll give you my gun. Yeah, but no, I thought this was super, super fun. I had not, again, pretty much a fresh watch. I had forgotten all of the like almost like the heist nature of the movie.
Mhm.
And I thought that was really fun. I mean, I guess if we're gonna go a little bit just for a because this is plot summary wise, this one's gonna be a lot faster.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, we open on the end. We open on the end of the movie. The boat is on fire. Keaton is basically lying there dying, and we then figure out, there's a whole storyline building up to it, and we meet the usual suspects. What do you think of our crew here? I mean, pretty stellar fucking crew.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was everyone was amazing in the role. Everyone was very like all the performances were good, and I was feeling it right away. I was never probably why this movie was not on my radar ever like before this is like I'm not a big crime movie fan, I guess. Like that type of drama, this type of thing. Though Goodfellas is one of the best movies ever made.
I was gonna say I believe you've told me that before. So
yeah, I love it. But I figured it was like the exception and not the rule for me. But this is one of the things that like it kind of gave me that fun feeling. I was really enjoying okay, original, like there we have our setup, cool, and now we're getting introduced to everyone, fun. I love assembling a team.
Yes, I'm with you.
Love it. I love when they assemble a team. I love it more than what they do as a team. That part, and maybe instilled for me for Mass Effect 2, I don't know. But I love a team. Okay. Well, first of all, you speaking my language, Mass Effect 2, you know that. But yeah, no, I am always in favor. It's a trope in a lot of movies. Like a lot of times you see it like in action movies. And I don't care if it's been done 100,000 times. I'm always going to like that part. I mean, it's always good.
Half of Fast and the Furious. Those movies are dumb as shit. But I will see every single one of them in theaters because half of them is just like, you got to join the family. And I'm like, you fucking right, you got to join the family.
Hell yeah.
Get in your goddamn car, all right?
What is broken within us to need a found family in our favorite medias? Like, what is that?
I do not know. I don't know what it says. We should check our character sheet. But yeah, I mean, I think that honestly, like as far as like the 5 guys, like I mean, you couldn't really ask for like a stronger group. I mean, you have Kevin Spacey as Verbal, who is the supposed weakling cripple. He has a limp and like I don't know how to say this nicely, so we'll just say a tiny hand or broken hand. I don't know. I don't know how to say.
What do you mean nicely? Say he's built different. Just say that.
He's built okay. His hand is built different.
Verbal built different.
Sounds so much worse.
I don't think that. I think you're overthinking it.
Okay. All right. Well, he's got a built different hand and foot. Gabriel Byrne plays Keaton, who's sort of the leader of this group, I would say. He's kind of someone who doesn't really want to be in the crime world. He tried to get out, and as soon as they get out, they pull him back in.
Hate to see it.
Stephen Baldwin, one of the Baldwins, plays Michael McManus. He was wild. I loved him in this movie. So fun. Yeah. Kind of wish he had stayed sober so he could have actually acted longer. But then we have Kevin Pollak, who plays Hockney. He's kind of the mechanic one of the group with the mustache. I thought he was very good. And then my favorite of the group, I loved Benicio del Toro in this. I love the choice to just be almost inaudible.
Yeah. Very fun.
Did you have a favorite of the group?
I think my interpretation of it was a little different because I knew like who Verbal was pretty early. So I do think I didn't get as much of like the team building stuff as much.
Okay.
I mean, obviously you're supposed to like our main character, like you're supposed to like Keaton in a sense, like or find him to be one of the least or just one of the most tolerable ones, I would say. But yeah, I don't know if I had a favorite. I was kind of just like watching everything go down, and I was like, okay, Keaton, you're being manipulated. Like all of you are like in this room at this time. Like, oh my god, like it's just so. It's just so much. I guess I would probably say, because I felt like I was in on it, that maybe like Verbal would have been my favorite, because I was like, okay, you're smarter than everyone in this room, and none of them think that you are smarter than them.
Okay, so that's interesting. I think I had a little bit of a different perception or perspective of this. I very much looked at this like I look at Goodfellas when I'm watching it, even knowing, like, I knew they were all fucked from the beginning. I remembered that part.
Sure.
But like, I kind of looked at it as like, this is like a movie where you're like, yay, bad guys. Like, you know, like,
yeah.
You know, you're wanting them to, like, I could have watched them, honestly. Like, I know I've just said 90 minutes was perfect, but if they had done like 2 more heists and were just like living life, I could have been okay with that.
Mm-hmm. I respect that. Yeah, they had a very interesting group dynamic, I will say.
Yeah, I told you I listen to a lot of Hollywood podcasts because I don't know, they interest me. And I recently, before we had done this, I remember I'd listened to one where they talked a little bit about The Usual Suspects. And one of the more famous scenes of the movie, there's probably 2 famous scenes. There's the ending with the cup and all that, and then where they do the lineup at the very beginning of the movie, and they're kind of all dicking around, and they're laughing and they're smiling and they're pushing each other around. So that's kind of a more famous scene of the movie. And from what I had learned is that Bryan Singer directed this. We're talking great people across the board today, people. We got all sorts of predators on this episode. But apparently the cast of The Usual Suspects was just not really listening to Bryan very much that day, and they basically couldn't. That was supposed to be like a straight shot of like them, like you would see in any other crime movie, and apparently they were just like farting and like dicking around and just having fun. And eventually Bryan apparently was like, well, fuck it, like, you know what, I'll just cut around it and I'll edit it and I'll make it look the way I want it to look, which he couldn't do because it was impossible. And then it turned out to be one of the more iconic scenes of the movie. So I always like when little tidbits like that, you learn things about that. You know?
Yeah, it was very funny. I enjoyed that scene more than I thought it would, because I know you had mentioned it, and it's really cool to have that little background with it, but I haven't seen that parodied. I probably have seen the coffee cup thing and the realization parodied, probably, though I can't really name anything, because I guess I don't really watch a lot of like parody content. Like, I feel like that would be something on, like, I don't know, like a Family Guy episode gag or something.
There's a Simpsons episode that did it. Don't you even fucking say it. Oh, you're old, you watch Simpsons.
No, hey, I love the Simpsons. I don't remember a lot of it because, like, you know, it's just like on so much before my time, but you know, but
yeah.
I know, I remember. Yeah,
you're more of a Ben 10 kid or something.
I did watch Ben 10. I did. Yeah.
And I could see you being a Kim Possible person.
Yeah, I mean, I was more of a Shigo gal, as we all were.
Shigo, I totally know a lot
where
about
Shigo,
that
I go. You know what I'm saying? Anyway.
Okay, so bullet points here for the plot. These guys get accused of something that they actually didn't fucking do, but it puts them all on the police's radar. They're gonna essentially, Keaton, who specifically was actually out, says that he can never not be out now because the police know, or basically he's on their list now of like, they're gonna fuck him because of like a political thing. I don't really remember exactly what the situation was, but they're gonna fuck those guys no matter what. So by chance meeting of all of them being interrogated for this thing they didn't do, they essentially build a crew to commit some crimes that they do. Am I lining this up correctly?
It sounds about right from what I remember.
Yes. Now, all throughout this movie, there is a character that we learn about referred to as Kaiser Sose. who is this mythical criminal figure who's shown to be brutal. The story that was told, which I remember being like, oh wow, is like they do a flashback where you can't see his face, but he's played by some beautifully long-haired man, which I laugh about. And the story is that his wife and kid were held hostage against him, and instead of meeting the demands, Kaiser himself killed his wife and kids just to basically, I don't know, because he's fucked up. I don't really know why.
Yeah, it's like no one can have power over me type of thing.
So we keep learning about this character, and as time goes on, I think the first one to die is my boy Benicio, which I was sad about because I thought he was funny. I did enjoy that Stephen Baldwin was because they were like best friends in the movie, that he got very emotional during that scene, and I always like a little man, a little bro love. I enjoy that, even among criminals.
Even among criminals. Lock me up for kissing the homies goodnight type stuff. Yeah, for sure. Just
a little. But yeah. Then from there, they pretty much are forced into a job by Kaiser Sose, supposedly. Correct. They meet this man. I could not tell you the man's name, but he's been in like a billion things. He's Kobayashi is what they called him. He was not Asian, so that was a weird choice for a name.
Real.
Kobayashi essentially tells them that he works for Kaiser Sose, and that he arranged for them. He was the one who picked them to be arrested initially because they had previously stolen. All of them had previously stolen money from him in some way, shape, or form, and that they are basically going to have to work the debt off by doing a job. This job, as we find out towards the end of the movie here, is more or less, it's not even about the money or anything like that. It's actually, like you said, it's because the Kaiser Sose needs to kill the only person who's ever actually seen Kaiser Sose and know who it is and can identify him, is on this boat. And the reality is Kaiser just wants to kill this fucking guy, and he's using these people to facilitate that. Am I speaking correctly here?
Sounds about right to me.
Gotcha. Okay. And then, I mean, honestly, like I said, this is going to be a faster one, I feel like, because it's more paint by numbers at this point, especially since we know the ending. So the job goes fucking horribly, as it always does at the end of these movies. They all start dying one by one. I do believe Sose kills at least one of them initially. I believe he kills Kevin Pollak's character by the van. And this is where we see the end of the movie, where Keaton is laying on the boat dying, and it is revealed that Kaiser Sose is, Blue, say it with me.
Verbal?
I was going to say Kevin Spacey. Yes.
I was like, what do you want? What name do you want?
I don't know. Yes.
In reality, both criminals.
Yes. It is Kevin Spacey. We then get the very famous end scene with the dropping of the coffee cup, realizing that he looks around the room. He sees that basically he's been just lying to the cops for over the whole movie. He starts walking to his car. He magically, his foot heals, his hand stretches out. He hops in the car with his shades, gets in the car with Kobayashi, drives the fuck off, credits.
Beautiful.
But you enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's a 4 out of 5. I thought it was really fun. Performances were cool. Had a lot of really fun things to it. The twist was a little predictable for me, but I also am decently hard to trick.
I thought you were going to be like, because I'm so smart.
Well, little me. No, but I really haven't been surprised by a plot device since maybe like Ender's Game.
Never saw it.
Not yet. That might be something we talk about.
Okay. Isn't that like the right-wing movie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but if we
All
pirate
right.
it, is it like, you know, and then if we spoil it, like no one has to watch it. So I guess in the way, it's like not putting any money in that guy's pockets.
Fair
So
enough. Fair enough. Okay. Well, then if we ever do it, I will keep I will keep it off my radar. But yeah, I'm with you. I thought this was super fun. Very again, very short, very to the point, and you're kind of bing bang boom by the time but you're never bored. I will say that with this movie. It keeps you going, and it doesn't overstay its welcome. It made me want to watch like other heist movies. Like, have you ever seen Heat?
no.
Oh, Blue.
Yeah.
You want to see a fucking heist movie? Fuck this movie. We're doing Heat eventually.
Oh
All
my god.
No, Heat's amazing. It's Val Kilmer. You know I love him.
Sure.
My bathroom buddy. Just let that float in the air. But anyway, yeah, no, it was super fun, and I had a good time with it. I'm with you. I would give this 4 stars as well.
The real interest, though, is how are you like Kaiser Soze?
I have a gun.
Well, maybe that is a similarity.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
All right. Analyst, analyze me.
Well, there's a lot to say and not a lot to say. You know, as far as similarities, here's the thing. Are you an evil guy? No. Are you a bad guy? No. Are you emotionally intelligent enough to be able to manipulate people if you so chose to? Yes. You're very intelligent. I use that complimentary. I don't think you use your power for evil. I think someone who is like you, who is intelligent like you and emotionally intelligent like you have both pieces, could be that guy. But you're not that guy. You're a nice guy.
So what you're saying is, if I used my powers for evil, I could get ahead in this world.
Yeah.
All right, yes. Let's go.
Now, would your anxiety and your conscience allow you? I don't know. I don't know if that's true. That's like the general scheme, because you're nice. You're just nice. You're a nice guy. You're great. You're funny. You're good to people, but you're smart enough where you could be, if you wanted to, similar type of guy. I do think that would be accurate to say about you.
All right. I mean, you're not saying anything terrible, so I'm fine with that.
Yeah. There were mannerisms, interestingly enough, that were very like you.
Oh, okay.
That were very interesting to me. And like your sense of humor and like what I imagine. Oh my God. There's a scene. I don't remember who the two are. It might have been Keaton and I don't know, someone else. There was a scene where they're talking about the heist, I believe. And two of them get really close to each other and almost look like they're gonna kiss.
Mm-hmm.
And like they have this weird, like, I don't know, it was like, and then all of a sudden Kevin Spacey's head just goes, ladies, and like pops in between them, which is like the funniest thing ever. And I could definitely see you making a joke like that.
Oh yeah.
Very interesting that there was a little romantic tension there, but that's fine. Bro type movies. This is not my business, whatever. And then the other mannerism that I saw that was like, that's so Sam, is when the cop walks back in and he thinks he's fucking got this guy. And he walks back in and he goes, so who's Kaiser Soze? And Kevin Spacey, without missing a beat, goes, fuck! And just slams his hand on the table because he's like trying to act like he like this big thing has come out. But I just like that like specific mannerism was just fuck, like you doing that. I for humor, I could see that 100%. And it cracked me up. There were those two moments specifically cracked me up with how accurate they were to like how I have envisioned you and your humor and your jokes.
Okay, I could deal with that. And yes, I do be doing stuff like that. I mean, honestly, before this record, when we were having a technical problem, I was slamming the desk going, fucking.
Literally.
Yeah.
So I think it's like an emphasis or a funny thing. And like, yeah, you could definitely, you can get to that like exaggeration for humor type of thing. And I don't think the cop knew that that's what he was doing. That is definitely what Kevin Spacey was doing. And yeah, I could just imagine it, like his immediate, fuck. Oh my God. I was like, okay, that's Sam right there.
All right,
okay. Right. I see you in this movie.
Okay. I can get with that. All right. I'm just a smart, nice guy. I mean, and
Smart,
I
nice guy with great comedic timing.
just great comedic timing. Wonderful.
That's it. That's the similarities. That's all I got. There was, I mean, I guess in a sense, you don't get to see a lot of Kaiser Soze's personality because that's the whole point.
Yeah, that's why it probably made it. That's why I was like, it made it a little harder because, well, we only see his personality as verbal, but we don't really know if that's even his real personality.
Right.
So it's like he definitely seems to during the last 30 seconds when he switches to, Kaiser mode or whatever, he seems to have a completely different attitude. He's got a little swagger, but I gotta say though, part of what I think is just funny is like Kevin Spacey, especially around this time, is like all of like what, like he's probably about my height. He's probably about 5'7", like 120 pounds. And like imagining like this is the guy who's like the mastermind, like this is the most dangerous criminal in the world, really. Like,
yeah.
little maybe far-fetched, but we'll go.
He's very smart and manipulative, and
yeah,
that works to his personal gain.
Well, all right, we've done my movie, and you've got to analyze me a little bit, and I think it's only fair that we flip this around. Blue, tell us about your characters.
So we ended up picking Annie Hall from the movie Annie Hall, which is, I think, both of our first Woody Allen movies, right?
First Woody Allen movie, first time seeing this movie. Yeah.
I got a lot of characters. Like, she was basically number one. I also got Sally from When Harry Met Sally, and I said no because Sam. I told him that I hate the scene where they're acting up in a coffee shop. I have a gun, Sam. Please stop. And I didn't want to watch it again, even though that's one of the best movies ever made, best romantic comedies ever made. That scene bugs me out for no reason. I also got characters like Gomez Adams, got that a lot. I got Ted Mosby from How I Met Your Mother. That one was a little insulting to me. I got Brian Griffin.
You're saying that you don't see any similarities with your person with being with someone who has the extreme fortune of having someone fart out some kids, then have the do the service of dying so that he can go be with the person he really wants to be with.
As a hopeless romantic, that makes sense for me. Like that character, like similarity. But yeah, he's horrible and neurotic, and takes way too long to tell the story to his children of How I Met Your Mother. Yeah. Like he already had met her multiple times. Like they were always whatever. Anyway.
I love that show, but I stop at the last season. I just don't watch it anymore. I can't.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Yeah, I get a lot of that. I get a lot of romantic characters. I do get some like fun ones. I did get Morticia and Morgan from like the Dragon Age games and stuff like that. Like, so I got a couple ones like that. Carlisle from Twilight. Like, I got a lot of those, but almost all of the movies were like The Corpse Bride and Romeo and Juliet and Crimson Peak and like just so many romantic movies that it's almost comical.
What did you say in episode 1?
I love love. And then I'm hardly ever wrong.
Well, one of those is debatable, but but yes, you definitely have said that you love, so that makes sense that you're getting all these romance character and obviously slightly dark romance characters. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a gothic influence going into my romantic subtext, that's happening. So I do think the quiz was pretty accurate to me. And yeah, Annie Hall was like basically 75% like me. So that was a pretty big percentage to have her up there. And yeah, love the movie, but I also hate the movie. Because I'm in there and I don't like it.
Yeah, there was. I'm gonna be real. There was a lot of similarities I saw. I don't know if we want to break that down first or if we want to go because this is a more intricate movie. I would feel like. By the way, did you have any preconceived notions about this movie going in? Because it is completely not what I fucking thought it was going to be.
No, I mean, I knew it was like a relationship, I guess, but I didn't really know anything else, I would say.
Yeah, I guess I don't know why, but like, I mean, I've always heard that it's considered like, I believe one of like the best like comedies of all time. I think it is actually, yes, it has been saved by the Library of Congress for being culturally, historically significant. And I, for whatever reason, first of all, movie's called Annie Hall.
Mm-hmm.
Thought Annie Hall was going to be the main character. So when fucking Woody Allen's talking to me before for 25 minutes before I even meet Annie Hall, like I was like, oh, okay. And and I'm going to take a guess that this is just Woody's humor. I had no idea how funny I was going to think this movie was, because when I watched this movie, a huge thing that I was like, oh, this is where Seinfeld gets its comedy. Like, I saw so many similarities between this and Seinfeld, and specifically George, and Larry David, that I was like, the humor was like on point, like right down the middle, like in a way that I really, really, it resonated with me very much.
Yeah. I will say, on just a movie standpoint, yeah, I was also like, why is Woody Allen the main character? I thought, pretty sure this movie is about her, but that's fine. But it's shot really well. Mm-hmm. I loved that it was not necessarily in order. I loved that it was like they would take each other through memories, like physically.
I thought that was really wonderful.
Awesome. Yeah. There were a lot of moments like that, or a lot of fourth wall breaks with the audience and different things that I thought were really fucking cool. So I love how it's made. Like, I was like, oh, okay, this makes sense why people think like Woody Allen's really fucking good.
See, this is one of the reasons I love doing this show with you. It's like, when I talk, like, I realize how much of your, I don't want to say how much of your brain, but here, I am analyzing you. Fuck it. You watch movies and you tend to, like, the first things that you jump out at you are like the shots and like how they're put together. And I find that very interesting. Well, I think I tend to look at them more just like on a plot level. And I find that very interesting, but I did notice it in this one as well. Like, there's some really interesting shots, and I really enjoyed the surreal nature of it. Like you said, like they're walking through memories, discussing them. One of my favorite shots, and I think it might be my favorite shot in the movie, is when they're having the juxtaposition of the two, of his family and him meeting their family going, but then the characters from the two families are talking to each other. I was like, that was fucking cool.
Yeah, it's because I feel like I've seen that. I don't know if that's an original of his or not, but I feel like I've seen that type of like split screen talking to each other thing happen in like cartoons and different things. I don't know if he took that into like his like real life movie, or if like that was an inspiration for really funny gags and setups later. I don't know which, but I thought it was really brilliant, and I've never seen it in other types of movies like that. And that's just how I look at movies in general. I do love plot. I do love a good story. But I want to know, that's why it's infuriating for me sometimes to watch like a bad movie where I'm like, oh my God. Like, because I'm looking for something of like, why are you telling me this and how you're telling me this? Does that matter to me? Like, is there things that are happening that like I wouldn't understand unless you presented them in like this surreal or this understated way with color or this? Like, I think that shit is fucking cool. And I think it's part of the plot. And he had those shots, like those specific options, or even the scene where they're talking to each other and they're playing like they're saying stuff, but the subtitles don't match what they're saying because they're thinking a different thing and their conversation with each other. It's really well done.
Absolutely, I agree. Now I will say, I thought, again, preconceived notion, don't know why. Going into this movie, I was like, oh, this is going to be a romance movie. And it's quite the opposite. It's more or less a movie about the crumbling of a relationship. And unless, but it very much is about the end of a relationship and dissecting what went wrong in a very chaotic way, I would say, but in a way that it made, you know what I mean? Because like you're jumping around so much. Here's a question for you. we got to get to Annie Hall here in a second,
Yeah.
but since we start with the movie, kind of opens with Woody. What do you think of Mr. Woody Allen? His little neurotic shtick. Are you a fan? Are you annoyed? I mean, there's some creepy fucking stuff in this movie that he says that now, knowing what we know now, that is fucking weird.
Yes. And I don't think we should look over that, but unfortunately at this point, what can you fucking do? The world knows. But yeah, there were some uncomfortable lines said by children. They're probably just like, just like didn't need to be there or whatever. My thing is I don't know much about Woody Allen, so I would be interested to know. It almost seems like a self-insert. It seems so accurate. I don't know if it's just written in that accurate way or if he's like that type of person.
Mm.
But I loved and hated it because I thought the character type was well thought out, but I also hated it because I was like, I've met people like you.
Yeah. I mean, I would say I because he's not likable, and he sometimes is likable, and then sometimes you're like when he's with the guy in the movie theater and the guy's talking in line, I'm like, on your fucking team, bro. Fuck that guy. Fuck people who do that. But then at other times, I'm like, dude, you're kind of like, I don't know, like, you just make everything about yourself. You're selfish. I really didn't like, and again, maybe it's just because I know what he's been. He did what he did. He's like a hyper fixated on sex in this movie, like to an uncomfortable degree where I'm like, bro, like I get it. You want to get your dick wet, but like, like
constantly,
constantly.
It's like the only tool of self-regulation that he has, I think, is a problem.
Yeah, I guess because he is kind of a prude in other ways, and
he won't do anything else. He won't smoke weed. He won't do certain things. He goes to a psychiatrist, but I don't think he actually like talks very much, like deeply. I don't think it's working for him because he is that type of person. Because he's been going for 15 years apparently in the movie, but it's fine.
Yeah, which I recall that. Yeah, they kind of show and again they juxtapose their
shrinks,
their therapy sessions,
their analysts. Yeah,
and it does seem like she's more receptive to actually listening and talking to the therapist. And maybe that's why, and because he's mad that she's getting like results out of it, and he on the other side has been there for 15 years, and he's basically just jacking off on the couch because he's not doing anything.
Yeah, he doesn't learn anything. He's incredibly defensive. He has this armor around him of pessimism. Reason why part of the reason why I say I know this type of person is there is a type of, and I will say this in general, I'm speaking generalization, not all men are like this, I'm not going to go there, but there is a certain type of subsect of man who is shielded by pessimism that they think is realism, but in reality they're pessimistic, depressed little fucks. And they think they're more intelligent by realizing, like, just thinking the world is like this sad, dark place, or this is fucked up, or this, or blah, blah, like nothing's ever going to get better. And these are terrible things, and these terrible things happen to people, and everyone's out to get me, and blah, blah. And it's like, you're not a fucking realist, but you're hiding behind that label. Reality is a little bit more neutral than you'd fucking want it to be, buddy. And you're not like, you're stroking your own ego thinking you're more intelligent than you are, but in reality, you're just like masturbating with depression. Like, you're fucking like, it disgusts me, this type of man and this type of person. And I feel like I was this type of person too. So I am taking this shot at myself. I used to, I think, like, lay out in my depression and to embrace that and to think the world is this fucking awful place and everything fucking sucks all the time and people are the worst. And I think I was this guy, which is also partially why I fucking hate him. Stop it.
6 years ago, Blue, I didn't think about it, but
I was that guy. I think.
A little, you were closer to it than you were closer to him than you were to Annie, I would say, at that point.
100%. Yeah. And so I feel like I can identify that behavior and that thought process in a lot of people. And there's no way out is the problem, because the more that you give them to help themselves or do, the more it's going to hurt other things, or they don't have addressed anxiety. So you can't be like, hey, you know what helps me? going outside, and then it's like a whole fucking thing where like every time he goes outside it's a whole fucking ordeal, and it's like, you know, like he doesn't have any of the tools and also is not aware of the fact he doesn't have any of the fucking tools. And yeah, it just I've dated this man, and I think I've been this man, and I hate that for me on both sides.
I would say so. I mean, granted, partially. I mean, don't be so hard on yourself.
I used to send Sam pictures of me crying.
I have received a few of those. So
I don't think that I love that you're trying to be gentle. Well, but I think
but here's the thing. Obviously, we've been friends for that long. Like, if you were everything you just said, and like, and the way that Woody, because Woody, I could not be friends with this man. I could already tell you that. Obviously, there were other qualities about you that have kept each other in our lives, but I will say, I much prefer where you're at now to your Woody. I much prefer your Annie era to your Woody era.
To my Woody era. Yeah. That's real. That's real. That's real and true. And I feel the same.
Yeah. And like I said, he's such a character that, like, yes, they're like, obviously for humor's sake, it's pretty funny the way he is with his neuroticism. But like, I know people exactly like you said, like that are just pessimistic with no end. It's everything's bad, and somehow they think that like that makes them interesting. That's the thing that kills me about these people, is that like if you're just fucking negative all the time and you're pessimistic about everything and you just shit on everything, that as if that's going to be a quality that's going to make people want to be around you. It can be entertaining for a little while, but after a while you're like, shut the fuck up. Like, shut the fuck up. Go look at the sun or eat an apple, enjoy life. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. People who can't enjoy anything, people who can't take any type of critique. And especially that type of person tends to look down on people who are happy as a sign of them being stupid, instead of them overcoming that pessimistic, depressed side of themselves and then coming around the other side. That person is immediately not seen on the same level as that person from their perspective. So annoying.
It's very annoying. Like, that's it. Again, I see a lot of, and I know different, but I know that Larry David, creator of Seinfeld, took a lot of inspiration from Woody Allen. There's no secret on that. But you could take a lot of, remove Woody Allen from this movie and put George Costanza in it, and it does not change that much. And so it is funny, but it is like, there's some annoyance I have with Woody on a whole.
Yes.
That being said, there was some neuroticisms of his that I also identified with. Like when we meet, the very first time we meet Annie is when Annie is Annie and Alvy is Woody's character, are going to a movie theater. And I believe this is the time, it might be this, because they go to the movie a couple times. They're like 2 minutes late and the show has started, and he's like, no, I can't go, and we'll have to come back later. We'll have to, like, are you crazy? We can't miss 2 minutes of the movie. And she's like, who gives a shit? I 100% would be the same way. I'd be like, well, what if something happened in those 2 minutes? I need to know. Like,
no,
that would drive you nuts.
Yeah, because at that point it hasn't started. Get in. You're wasting more time talking about the fact that you don't want those 2 minutes. Like, you could literally just go in and like it's fine. And probably there's still, I don't know how trailers worked at this time in movie theater history, but I'm sure there were still things happening.
Yeah.
I think it's a symptom of a larger issue, really, for him. I don't think she got mad at him necessarily for that. I don't think I necessarily would either, but it's like a continued pattern of behavior that's fucking annoying.
Yeah, I mean, again, it starts off kind of cute, I feel like, but as the time goes on, and also it's like, so he blames Alvy blames a lot of his issues on his, I don't know, like you said, sexist seems to be his only outlet or whatever. And it does start with a pretty weird thing where it shows him just going up to girls that he's not even engaged in a conversation with and just forcefully kissing them.
Great start.
Yeah, great start. Yep.
Yeah, there's it's the only thing. and it's such a crutch for him, and he doesn't even realize. And it's he blames a lot. He blames his upbringing. He blames the trains. He blames everything about why he is the way that he is, except for himself.
Yeah, I mean, because everything is someone else's fault, not his.
Mm-hmm. Or how come I would turn out this way because I had this type of parents, and I lived in this this house in Brooklyn, and this blah blah happened, and blah. Dumb.
Yeah. Well, do you want to? So we've met Annie at this point. Do you want to give maybe a little brief rundown of Annie, of who Annie is as a character, since you are Annie?
Annie is perfect and flawless and a queen.
End of sentence. Sorry.
And done. I think 5 out of 5 if it's just a movie about Annie. Annie is perfect in the story in the sense of she is the type of quirky person who could fall in love and be with someone of Alvy's nature, I will say. It's hard to describe her character at the beginning because we are kind of seeing them at the end of the relationship, right? We're not exactly starting out with them in the beginning. So it'd be hard for me to start unless we go all back to where they meet on like the tennis courts and stuff like that.
I mean, it's because again, this movie hops all over the place. Because this movie hops all over the place, it does make it a little difficult to track. So I feel like maybe if we just go sort of like a natural narrative way, it would make more sense.
Yeah. So she starts perfect and she ends perfect.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And I love when a character doesn't need to grow. She is very interesting. She is someone who is quirky. She is obviously nervous. She is very endeared to this man for seemingly no reason. Though he does tend to be the opposite. We get a little bit of a brief history of her dating in the past and like who she's been with and whatnot. And this guy is the exact opposite of that really emotionally in tune, like actor guy that she was seeing like right before him.
Yep.
So it was clear that didn't work out and she was looking for something different. And this guy does fit the different bill. And they're kind of compatible, but they're just compatible enough. Even in their beginning scenes where they're first going on dates, they're first doing things, there's it's a very bad start. Our Queen Annie is insecure. And I think the whole relationship premise, I think would fall apart no matter what because of who these characters are. But it falls apart when there's a scene where she invites him over. She drives him, blah, blah, blah. Which, first of all, I did write down in my notes. I was like, is this how Sam feels driving with me? Because of how she drives. And you better not have written that down.
that might be on the similarities
page.
My
God. Oh, my God.
That might be included on here.
She asks him to have champagne, and they're sitting there, and they're talking. And you could tell she's interested. And there's this weird dichotomy and back and forth where, like, he's thinking, no way, like, she likes me, this, blah, blah. And she's sitting there, like, oh, he doesn't think I'm intelligent or I'm not like interesting enough. Like she immediately is downplaying herself in her own head about like who this guy is, who she really just met. Like she doesn't really know this guy. We know that like at this point he's like relatively successful. Like he's a comedian. He's doing his things. That's established in the plot. I think she knows of him. Like it's not like that. Like a celebrity and fan type of moment. But he is someone who has more let's say professional like cred, who is obviously very funny and quick-witted, and that would show like a certain level of intelligence, and she is very intimidated by that. You could tell she is not a very confident person despite being gorgeous and interesting and perfect. So that's interesting for her to have gone through that. Is that reading similar to how you picked her up at first?
Very similar. I mean, without going into what I exactly think your similarities are yet, I mean, she gave me a little bit of like, I'm like, when I first saw her at the beginning, you know, she's got like the kind of dressed like a quirky style, but like almost almost masculine. Like
Yeah.
and well, there might be something there. And like, how did I say this? Like, at first I was like, oh no, I'm like, this Blue's gonna hate this, because I'm like, is this like the 70s version of like the manic pixie dream girl? Like, is that what
In a
this
way,
is?
maybe.
Like a little bit, like a little, but the character is a little bit better than, I mean, because while the movie is called Annie Hall, I mean, I truthfully think it's more about Alvy, because Alvy is such a piece of shit. Like, you're not entirely wrong in that, you know, she kind of starts perfect and ends perfect.
Mm-hmm.
She's never really bad, you know, like she's kind of, she starts pretty good. And by the end of the movie, she goes to therapy. She becomes more aware of who she is as a person. So she kind of starts off all right and ends like
a much healthier, fuller person. Yeah.
And he starts off a neurotic fucking disaster and ends a neurotic fucking disaster.
Yeah.
So, yeah, a little wild there. I will be honest. I don't know if I believe, and this is crazy because I read about it, but did you buy their chemistry as a couple?
Yes.
You did?
Yes.
Okay.
What do you mean by buy their chemistry? Like, I think this couple would exist in real life?
Well, like, yeah.
Or
like,
them two as actors? Like, what do you mean by that?
Well, so here's, in reality, Woody and Diane Keaton were dating at this time. Mm-hmm. And he specifically wrote this role for her so that they could be in a movie together. So there is some sort of chemistry that is there behind the scenes as well. But I will be honest, I'm still watching this and I'm just like, and maybe this is my pessimistic side coming out, but I'm like, there's no way that this fucking gorgeous woman who, and let's even throw the looks out. Let's just throw the looks out. This kind of beautiful soul who's bubbly and happy, a little self-doubt there, because she is like kind of like she doubts herself towards the beginning of the movie. I mean, and maybe it's just because I have never dated men, but in my head I'm like, there's no way that this person would put up with this fucking sack of shit over here. But then again, I guess a lot of people do.
I think the chemistry is believable for that. I think it's sweet to not see it, because you're like, this person should not be with this person. Yes. Because that is true. But you have to think of who she is at the beginning of that relationship. And maybe because, they did say I was 75% like her. So maybe, I have a special little insight into that. And I also look at the fucking troglodytes that I've dated, and you can be like, oh, yeah, no, you've been there. And how like miserable they fucking were. There is something special about it. She's like young. She's in this like young 20s-ish like era of her life. She is someone who doesn't know how to do boundaries. She is somebody who doesn't know how to do much at all. Like, she is someone who has, just at the beginning, no backbone. She thinks he is more of a catch than her. Dumb. She thinks like she is vying for this man's attention. She immediately is setting him up because she's thinking in her head, well, he's probably not like, he's probably don't like me. He probably likes like these like model girls, or he probably thinks I'm dumb. I'm not as educated as he is. And she's saying these things throughout the movie, right? Mm-hmm. Even in like later conversations where they're doing the brain to brain, like, they're having their little thoughts. She's still thinking about his validation.
Yeah, she consistent in so I watched this one first, so it is a little further removed from my memory, but she 100% like throughout the movie is constantly trying to validate herself and almost and constantly telling Woody that like Alvy that you think you're smarter than me, and he never really truthfully denies that either. He's like he does, because he's a self-centered person. And
he thinks he's smarter than everyone.
Yes.
So it's not a hard measure to imagine that he thinks he's smarter than her.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's this, she requires his validation. She is someone that like she lets a lot of shit slide until it's really interesting to start with the ending of their relationship, because I literally wrote in my notes, I was like, this is like me at the end of a relationship, because she's actually finally calling things out versus like letting shit slide. Like she is very like we're already introduced to him. He's negative. He's miserable. She's says like she's starting to be vulnerable. She's like telling him that she had this horrible day and blah blah blah. And then he's like, "Oh, you're getting your period," and she's like, "No, what the fuck?"
Yeah,
like,
I forgot about that.
Yeah, like it's ridiculous. And she says she's in a bad mood because she missed out on therapy today because like her schedule didn't allow it. And then he gets mad because like they have this sex issue. She's not giving him sex as much as he would want her to have sex with him. And that's an issue that she's going to therapy about, by the way. Let's start there. What the fuck? And so she calls him out because Annie Hall at the beginning of this movie, and by a beginning, I mean beginning a narrative moment, not like where we're talking about at the end, because that's the beginning. Confusing. Yeah. But her at the beginning of the relationship, I should say, is not the type of person to call that out. She lets his guideline be everything. She uses him as input. She uses him as a foundation for everything, for her strength to be able to go fulfill her dreams, to do literally fucking everything. And her at the end of the relationship, she calls him out. She's like, "You're just mad. Like, you're not empathizing with me at all. You're mad that me missing therapy, you're making it about you. You're telling me like I'm having my period and that's why I'm fucking grumpy." I'm fucking not. Like he's constantly like almost like thinking that she's not smart enough to realize like why that's a problem that she missed therapy, like why that's a problem for him, and like and how much stress he's been under and how this just isn't gonna like helping him and blah blah, and how her therapy that he's paying for is like causing him to not have sex with her even more. So he's like punishing himself, and like he has no fucking empathy or brain, and like just truly thinks of this woman as like this fucking like idiot, like this fucking idiot walking around. And she calls it out at the end of the relationship, which I really liked. And it reminded me of me because I think earlier on in my young dating life, my early 20s, this would have been very much like me. I would have been more of the nature of like, wow, this person likes me. My self-esteem's at fucking 0. And like this person like thinks I'm interesting or this. And I like follow whatever it is that they're like. I was very much into that validation. I didn't know how to give that to myself, and I didn't know what I needed, and I did not know what a boundary was. Did not have enough self-respect to like be mad at someone when I should be. Like nothing. So I did call out in the very beginning of the movie, which is the end of the relationship. I was like, oh, this is literally me at the end of a relationship, because I tend to let a lot of shit slide, where I was like, just
till the
like,
end.
Okay. And then it bottles up, and it's like, you've been doing this to me the whole fucking time. Like, and they're like confused, even though it's like abusive. And I'm like, all right, anyway, any fucking way. But yeah, it's just a fucking mess. He's not attracted to her in that moment either. And like, he's not doing anything to build that attraction. It's just like fucking awful and disgusting.
I have to agree 100% on everything you said there. Could I say that as a little mini review, I don't think there could be anything more you and your Alvy period and versus you and your Annie period, not period.
Right, I'm not on my fucking periods.
Yeah, I want to tell you that. But when they're divvying up all their shit after they do break up, and all of his books are about death and dying, and and all of her books are like about nature and life and living, and I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't even think about it because again, now that we've kind of established that you had your Alvy period, yeah, it was almost like now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, oh yeah, that is sort of you. Character might have got this one pretty right.
Unfortunately. I mean, fortunately, because I like who Annie is at the end. I like her the whole time, but I love who she becomes. I love it. But it did kind of call me out on a lot of things. Like, I really The scene where she's like sharing her thoughts and his like monologue is just like about him like thinking about her naked. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah, it's the sex stuff on this is so fucking weird. Like, I even like right now, like again, because I have like a basic plot point summary pulled up just because it's been a week or two since I've watched it. I cannot tell you how many times the word sex is in here, and it's only 5 paragraphs. Like, this is a 5-paragraph summary, and it is sex, 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 orgasm, sex. Like, yeah. What do you think about when Annie goes to her audition to be a singer?
I think it's sad at first. I think it's pretty. Again, I see a lot of myself in her. And I have had the kind of confidence issues that she has had. And I've also been in a relationship where, while it wasn't singing, where, like, let's say my modeling career, I'm gonna go into my own life for a second. I dated someone who was also in that field. A little bit different, male modeling, female modeling, whatever, can be a little different. And they were very supportive at first, very into like, whatever, like, I'll help you take you to stuff. Like, I'll help you take you to shoots. I'll do this, like, whatever. And very initially supportive. And we would do shoots together and we would do all these things. And Alvy is very supportive of her at first. Like, right. She's like, yeah. Oh, her like, oh, like, maybe you should be there. Maybe not. Like, she's even confused. She's like, oh, well, it stressed me out. Or like, do I need you there? Like, she has this, like, she can't have the inner strength to just go there and like know that she's a good fucking singer and like go do her shit. Like, it's such a difference in performance for her between the two. But when she becomes successful, when people like want to like, oh, well, let's record something. We'll have you for a couple weeks. Let's do an EP. Let's do an album. Then like, he's like, oh, well, we have the thing to do, blah, blah. He becomes like very jealous of her and her success, right? And her becoming so much bigger. Right. And the reason she wanted to leave the relationship, it seemed, Well,
he's an extremely jealous person whenever anybody gives her any attention. Like, he doesn't like, I mean, the more I'm talking about it, the more I realize I fucking hate him. Like, there's so many, I mean, there's times when he treats her very much like, he doesn't care. He likes her when nobody else is interested in her or giving her any sort of attention whatsoever. But also at the same time, while he's doing that, he also is, because they're sort of like split up or whatever, he's out fucking other people and he's doing other things. The moment that record producer guy kind of starts talking to her, he shits his fucking pants and like is like, it like couldn't be more jealous. And it's like, well, bro, you don't really have a leg to stand on. Like, you literally were inside somebody else yesterday. Like,
yeah, he's jealous and he uses that. And like, it's a whole like, that whole conversation too with like Shelley Duvall. I love her.
I love her. And she's
so fun.
And I will say, in a dark way, because obviously, again, you should hate him for this, but I wrote that like how much he despises her from the moment that he meets her I found it funny in a way that like, it's dark, but like the fact that he's just like, I hate this person, but I'm gonna go on a date with them. Like,
yeah, and then he has that weird speech about like orgasm, like people putting too much stress on the orgasm part of it. I'm like, you just use sex as a compulsion. Like, you don't even give a fuck about what's happening. Like, it's awful. But yeah, I've been in relationships where I have had partners where like, okay, I'm like seeing success from modeling. I'm seeing my accounts grow. I'm seeing certain things happening. I'm seeing the amount of money like come in, and we're in the same industry. And then I'm like making more. And then I'm like trying to share my success. And then it's like, well, why are you rubbing that on my face? And I'm like, well, I'm not. Like, I thought you were happy for me. Like, I've had a lot of that, like very direct, like we're in the same type of class. I mean, I guess you could kind of say they are two entertainment creator, whatever you want to say, because he's entertainment, comedy, whatever. And then she's like entertainment, like singing and doing her thing. So somewhat of an arts related type of moment for them both. Mine was like similar. Like, there was that, same industry, same type of art, though a little bit closer. and just jealousy. Or I've also been people who didn't really care about my success, but they were jealous about the amount of money that I made. And then like, cause I typically am, of the people I've dated in the past, like a higher breadwinner. Not to flex, but
be stacking that cheese.
I haven't had many people in my life, because I have dated a lot of men. When I've seen success, I have dated a lot of men. I haven't dated a woman while I was in that period of my life, I guess I will say. So it's interesting to see, because I could see that being a potential problem too. I did date someone who was also very jealous, and when I started, they were dancing, and then I like wanted to dance, and then they were like very against it, and it was like a whole thing. So I would be interested to see who that, or how that would be now. Not that I'm unhappy with my partner, but in a hypothetical world where we never met and I'm dating a woman, I want to know what that would look like. But yeah, I tend to be making some shmoney moves, I'd be collecting some motherfucking coins.
You're a boss ass person.
Hell yeah. And almost every person I have dated or been with has been uncomfortable with that, which is very interesting to me. Now I can recognize it and be like,
listen here, you're being a real Alvy right now, you little bitch.
Yeah, and I'm like, fucking support me, like fucking like be about it. And yeah, so it was very sad, because I felt, back to the original question of her, like her initial like fear, and like she didn't even want to try out, and she did it, and her voice is shaky, but she's still doing great. But like you could tell she has such fear in her. And like knowing that she is really talented and she gets to like be herself later is great, but it did kind of break my heart, because I was like, oh, like you always had it in you, queen. You're so perfect, and you will always been perfect. This stupid man here is ruining it. Get away from him. But like she does outgrow him. That's the thing. She uses him as a clutch. And I do think she grew, not that she needed to, but I think she did grow a lot intellectually and in her career. Yeah. And he almost became a little more fun, a little bit more la-di-da, a little. But she took some of the best parts of him and grew beyond him, and he was fucking miserable.
Well, and again, I think, it's funny you say she's the queen, because I think she is a queen in this movie, but in a not so subtle fucking way that he viewed her, again, as time went on. When this movie turns into an animated movie for a portion, he literally views her as the evil queen from Walt Disney. And it's, you really start to realize how much he puts his problems on her, and how much he just thinks that it is her fault that his life has ended up the way that it is. And it's there's more to this movie than I think, as I'm discussing it. And that's why I like talking. I mean, I just like talking movies with you as well, but like, this, like, comparatively to like when we did In the Mood for Love, as I talk about it, I realize how much more deep this really is. And not that this is, you could also enjoy this on a superfluous level. No, that's not, whatever, on a skin deep level of it just being kind of a goofy comedy, because it is very funny.
Yeah, like a superficial level.
But there is a lot to unpack, is just in terms of like a relationship really crumbling, and largely due to one person putting everything on the other one, and also refusing to change in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, there were a lot of things like that really like fuck with me. Like the scene where they're talking to both of their therapists, and they're talking about sex and intimacy. Of course they are, because that's the whole fucking movie. And he says that they're never having sex because they have sex 3 times a week.
Yeah, and she's like, we're always having sex.
Yeah, we're like constantly having sex 3 times a week. And how she says like she feels bad to deny him, because like, but she acknowledges in the therapy that she's just like not acknowledging how she feels, and she's just like doing that to make him happy, and he's still not happy with 3 times a week, which is a lot when you're both 2 adults with full-time jobs.
Yeah, when I heard that, I was like, bro, you're pretty good actually, man. Like
I think the average for an adult couple is like probably once a week. Like most likely. So you're getting like 3 times that.
Yeah. And you look like you and she looks like Diane Keaton. So it's got to be great.
So and man, you know what also fuck with me though, when she started to need to like smoke weed before they would do it.
Yes. Well, you know, and also but she also, and that's one of the things that sort of, you know, Annie's open to trying new things because she also, yes, there is a period, but she also is they show her smoking weed just to sort of like relax at night. And it bothers him. It bothers him that she does that to relax. And I remember just being like, you know, in your head, you just want to like shake him and be like, what does it fucking matter to you? If it makes her happy, then let her fucking do it. But yes.
It's the world's tiniest joint. It's the thinnest blade of grass you could find.
Now, the cocaine, I laughed out loud. Girl. I laughed out loud very hard at that scene. I will have to admit.
When he sneezed in it?
Yes. For the listeners, there's a scene where they're trying cocaine and he's being a little bitch about it, of course. And he's like, how much did this cost? And he's like, oh, that's about like $3,000 or whatever the fuck he says. And he sneezes and it just goes fucking everywhere. Super easy joke, but I mean, maybe I'm a simple person. I laughed pretty hard.
No, that was funny. I was like, oh my God. But yeah, it's annoying how she had something that was like part of her rituals or part of her relaxing, and he fucking hates it because he can't fucking relax. It's probably a subconscious thing that he's like, you know, fucking mad. But I also thought a little bit of it, and again, might be TMI, but I feel like I've been there. I feel like there was one partner that I had where I wouldn't even say it was that often, but I would want to smoke beforehand. And not to say that you can't be stoned and have a good time, right? You can have a great time, especially if you do it together. It can be a whole time sensations. It could be very cool. But I felt like I was doing it I don't think I even knew what I was doing at the time, but it almost like numbs you out. Yeah. And you're just like, cool. Cause like, this isn't going to be interesting to me. It's obvious that like she was kind of burnt out by 3. She was like, 3 is a lot. I had a similar scenario where it wasn't amounts of times, but it was just like, I'm not a very vanilla person. This person was only vanilla. And it was very fucking boring and I hated it. So
the interest wasn't there. So you had to do something to try and
do something. I thought that would like help me be more in it. So that was an experiment that I tried as well. And like, it's horrible, but the scene of her like them starting to have sex, she's like, oh, I don't want you to like smoke, I want you to just like be here with me or whatever, blah blah. And like she leaves her body essentially, and she's just like watching it happen, and she's like, you have my body, and like just deal with that basically. I do feel like I've been there, unfortunately. Now that's something I've had to learn the hard way. I have a whole history there that we don't have to get into.
This is kind of the therapy episode, I feel like.
Yeah, it was just a lot, like being like, okay, like, I mean, she's basically in the non-kinkiest or sexiest way, like the saddest way ever, being like, literally just use me and be done with it. Yeah. Because she does not. Yeah, she literally, and that's like horrifying. And I feel like if I was in a scenario with that, if I was Alvy, I'd be like, we need to fix that.
Yeah. Oh, so something's not right here.
Yeah. Maybe something's, but of course that doesn't apply to him. And he just gets mad and he's like, but I want both of you. Like, I want the inner you and I want this. And doesn't realize he's a fucking loser.
It's everything about what he wants. Now, I will say I did find it interesting that the actual breakup is not done by her. It's done by Alvy.
Yeah.
Now, again, I have a thing for sharks, but it was by far my favorite line in the movie is when he's like, you know, a relationship is like a shark. It has to keep moving forward. It can't swim backwards. And she's like, what are you saying? He's like, I think we got a dead shark. And I was like, I like it. I like the line. But it is kind of interesting that he is sort of the one to end it. Now, what's not surprising to me, because of the type of person that he is that he is also the person that after he ends it is almost immediately regrets it, because he wants to continue tormenting this poor woman.
Yeah. Leave her the fuck alone.
Yes. And immediately goes back to try and get her back. And thank God she does not accept his advances on those.
Yeah, thank God. Yeah, I do think it would have gotten to that point eventually if he hadn't said anything. I do think eventually she would have, the person that she was growing into, who wanted to grow in her career, who wanted to experience certain things that she couldn't experience with him, who was tired of his fucking neurotic bullshit, blah, 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 whatever, all the time. I do think eventually she would have broke and been like, okay, like, we're done. But it also does make sense to me. I do think there are some ways that, like, you can lead to the end of a relationship, like, if you're not feeling it anymore. I think she'd been out kind of mentally for a while.
Absolutely. And I also think
she was leading him, I think, to that thought.
And I also think that partly only reason why he wanted her back is she started dating the record executive.
Yeah, she was doing better than him.
So what does he try to do? He proposes to her.
Yeah, ruin her fucking life.
Yeah, like now he wants to like lock her down for life because someone else has her and he can't. Obviously she says no. Then he goes and makes a play about it where she says yes, which is
creepy.
A little creepy. I get you take from your life, but kind of weird. And then we kind of are we're moving through here pretty much, except he tries to fly. He does this big grand gesture where he flies across the country to see her, and which again also kind of creepy. And yeah, I know, like in reality, like that's been in movies before, like, oh, that's so romantic, but like in this case it wasn't. It was very weird and creepy at the end. What did you think on that?
I was really annoyed because he used it as like a reason that she should like hear him out, even though she's already given him a fucking plethora of time. And they literally already broke up in the past. And she said, like, I want you back. Like, she was the one to initiate that conversation and be like, yes, like, I miss you. I whatever, yada, yada. And then he's using that as like a reason for her to talk to him or to listen to him because he did all that for her. And what he did for her was get on a plane to LA and drive a car. I'm not saying that showing up isn't romantic, but this is someone who has money, who is like, he's been on fucking talk shows, he's been on TV, blah, blah, blah. And like, we're supposed to think like getting on an airplane, which is something we've seen him do before, is a grand gesture. And him renting a car. And
just being in Los Angeles where he hates it. Because he bitched the whole fucking time when he was in Los Angeles, even to his friends, which I was like, oh my God, you're a terrible fucking person.
Yeah, he hates it. He hates where they picked to go for lunch. He hates all the food there. And he hates her like hippie fucking lifestyle, even though she's fucking happy, glowing, career going, like she got a new man, like life is good. She is.
And how self-destructive is he? I forgot. Remember that he had an opportunity to be on a big show, and then he mysteriously got like stomach cramps and couldn't eat. And then the second that he got the call that like, oh, we're gonna go with somebody else, he immediately starts eating the fucking chicken or whatever they got there. So he clearly doesn't even want to be a success.
No, I have dated a lot of people, unfortunately, that have anxiety, that don't know what anxiety is or that they even have it. And then they have that kind of reaction to something, and they just don't realize it. And that's why he's such an angry character. He's so anxious and so anxiety ridden at all fucking times. It's partially what makes him so fucking angry.
I could see that.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, so the movie's pretty much coming to an end here. They have one final meeting. They meet up on the Manhattan. I'm kind of reading here. Manhattan's Upper West Side. They both moved on to somebody new at this point. Alvy has a voiceover where he says relationships are irrational, crazy, and absurd, but we just need to have them. And then Annie sings "Seems Like Old Times" over the end credits. Thoughts on the movie overall? What did you enjoy it? Did you have fun? What would you give it on Old Letterboxd?
See, I do love it. I think it's great. I think it I don't even know if he meant to capture it in the way that I'm interpreting it. Maybe. But it's because he describes her as this like ditzy girl and this and blah 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 and it's like whatever. Anyway, it's a 4 out of 5 for me as well. I'm giving it a 4.5. A 4 out of 5 for both these movies, Usual Suspects and Annie Hall. I'm giving a 4 and 5. Okay. I would own this movie. I really like it. I like the story that it tells. I'm not mad to be considered similar to her, especially from where she comes from, like where she is and where she ends the story. I love. Though I will say I hated the ending scene, like where he does his little like, well, relationships are irrational. This blah blah. We just need them. Blah blah. They're only irrational to you.
Yeah, she moved on to appears to be in a healthy one.
Yeah, like, that person is good to her, healthy to her, that we know of. Yeah. It's helping her career. She is thriving. Like, she has every reason to be in love and to be in a relationship. And it's not irrational. It's based on support. It's based on interest. It's based on like just all of these actual real things that he still hasn't understood by the end of the movie. And it's so irritating.
It is very irritating. And I'm curious because, again, I don't know much about Woody Allen. I know that kind of being the neurotic thing is sort of his shtick. I'm curious if does he always kind of play this type of infuriatingly frustrating character? Because I'm also wondering, is he just maybe an infuriating fucking person? Because it kind of comes across a little bit.
Yeah, part of me wants to watch some videos and see if like he's in on the joke.
Yeah.
Or also maybe this movie would be interpreted very differently though, because I mean now we're viewing it with a 2025 lens. This is a 1977 movie. I want to know what the general consensus was then versus, more so now. But I doubt that he's in on the joke. He just seems like kind of a sad pervert.
That's kind of what I was getting to. Again, granted, we only have the one sample size in this case. Right. This is our first one. But I almost am curious if he knew what movie he was making. Like, did he just sort of stumble into this accidentally making this movie, But I mean, then again, the movie is fucking called Annie Hall. It's not called Alvy. So I don't know. I am curious if he knew what he was making or if he just dumb luck, stumbled into it. And the movie truly is about Annie's growth because Alvy has none. Alvy has absolutely none.
Yeah, it's about Annie's beginning of her life and her adult life, her career, her growth, her as a person, and her story continues on in a pretty successful way. And he goes back to New York
and bitches probably till the day he dies and marries his daughter. Anyway, all right, Blue, do you want to hear some of the similarities that I found? We kind of touched on some of them and even found some new ones that I didn't know while we were discussing that, but ones that I notated here. So we're just going to start on a aesthetic level. I wrote, this is the 70s. Goth alternative does not exist. Right. I very easily could see, I very easily could see Blue have been attracted to Annie's style. Because it is an alternative dress style. It is a more androgynous dress style, which obviously has some characteristics that are going to appeal to you. So very easily I could see, I was like, you know what? I could see Blue, like, falling into that subculture very easily, at least as from a style standpoint. Do you think I'm anywhere correct?
Oh yeah, quirky bitch smoking weed in the 70s. Fuck yeah.
Yes. Now, very quirky, very funny as well. So we know that a little now. I'm judging from the beginning of the movie when she first meets him. She is also like she has a lot of self-doubt, which you oscillate. We've discussed this before, where you will oscillate sometimes between being the most confident person I know and also being the most the person I know with the most self-doubt, depending on the topic of conversation or who you're talking to. It can oscillate between the two, I feel like.
Yeah inside me there are two wolves, and one is Alvy and one is Annie. And then the alpha is Annie for sure, but a little Alvy's still left in there.
Yes, so I saw that the quirkiness there. Now on a fun section here, I did put you drive a lot like Annie.
This is the things I get, guys. I've been driving Sam home out of the goodness of my heart. Okay, they're down to one car in that house. You know who's been picking up the slack? Me, and I like it. I volunteered. So you sit in that passenger seat, and if I see you grip the fucking thing one more fucking time, I will kill you. I'm not that bad. You lived every time.
Let's just say that on Fridays and Saturdays, I say a prayer before I leave our workplace.
Right.
All right. It's not that bad. But I also know that you tend to try and adjust your driving when I'm in the car because yes. And I've seen a few moments where some maneuvers are made. And yeah.
I'm a little bit aggressive. A little, I'll give you that.
Yes. Yeah, I put she has an incredible sense of humor about death, which if you don't know this, Blue, when I first met them, probably again, this is more in the Alvy era, but I would say the most recurring joke would be like, well, I'll be dead soon, can't wait for it. And I'm like,
I'm gonna kill myself.
And I was like, you're fun. Like, okay, let's move on. And somehow that conversation just kept getting driven back to the old death zone.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I wrote, now we're about halfway through the movie, but obviously we're bouncing around here at this point. I put, despite having growth, because obviously Annie is growing throughout the movie, she still be a dainty little Faye thing when she need to be, because she calls Alvy in the middle of the night to kill a fucking spider. And I don't know if you know this, internet, but Blue refuses to do any sort of strenuous labor intensive activity, and I mean as much as push a shopping cart.
Ew. That's crazy. I don't do that. I'm non-binary, but I'm feminine whenever I have to do anything. Drive.
I love the honesty.
Take out the trash. Ew.
Yeah.
Push a shopping cart. Ew.
Anytime we have conversations that are like based upon what we would do if in a scenario where we win a bunch of money, or you have the dream house or whatever, there's always one or two friends that I would almost say Blue has in this almost enslaved, because there's one or two friends that seem that they're just going to be around in the area for the purposes of doing things such as mowing the lawn, taking the trash out. Yes.
Well, that's the price you pay to be a part of a community.
Okay.
And I'm lucky to be surrounded by such giving people.
Yes. I don't know if these scenarios, if they're what they're receiving out of this, but
usually money.
Okay. Money.
Yeah.
Money.
Sometimes.
I put that Annie learns, basically Annie does learn about themselves a little bit, that they like to relax with a little joint every now and then, and Alvy can't fucking handle it. And I know that maybe Blue likes to. That's how they slow their brain down at night and have a little bit of a calmness to them.
Yes, absolutely need that. And I've also definitely gotten partners, regardless of the whole sex scene revolving around weed and not having it, that were very upset by my amount of usage of the devil's lettuce, of the jazz cabbage, as you will.
And I'm going to say this for all the listeners out there: if your partner's into that, who gives a shit?
That's like, what I think. It got to the point.
If it ain't hurting nobody.
It got to the point with one ex where he insisted that I bring it up to my therapist, how much weed I was smoking. And when I told my therapist, because I listened, because this is my foundation, right? I have the same problems that Annie was having, but now I'm stronger. But and I can make my fucking own rules and regulations for my fucking self. But yeah, they were telling me that I had a problem and that I should talk to my therapist about it and do the thing. And I explained everything to my therapist, and I was very vulnerable. And I was like, maybe I do. This person that loves me says that I do. And my therapist kind of laughed a little bit and was like, I don't think you have that problem. And then we moved on. And I was like, oh. And then when I brought that up to my partner at the time, who had said that, they were pissed that I was like, hey, my therapist said I don't actually have a problem, by the way. And that I'm totally fine and normal. I spend maybe like $100 a year on this stuff.
You're
I'm
also
not that crazy.
When you revealed to me like what you're putting into your habit, I was like, I don't think it's much of a habit there. Yeah,
no. When she's smoking that little tiny blade of grass, that little tiny joint, that's like, very similar to me.
You're like, I can relate to that.
Yeah, like she just needs a little cut the edge off at the end of the fucking day. And maybe I wouldn't fucking need it if I didn't have some guy over here telling me that I have a fucking problem.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe if you get off my ass, I wouldn't need to fucking relax like this every day. Literally,
man. I'll never forget. I was like, man, gotta tell my therapist about this one. And she literally just looked at me and was like, I don't think you have that problem. And I said, all right, well, glad we talked.
And then the last two that I have here, I think are pretty obvious ones. Again, first of all, I did put... Now, have yet to get them to do it in front of me, but Blue claims to be quite the singer. But also, more or less, is that Annie is obviously a very creative person. She very much wants to be in that world, doing something creative. It did seem to me that she was a little, at least at the beginning, she wanted to be creative, but didn't really know how to facilitate that. And she figured it out, obviously, by the end, being a singer. You are obviously a very creative person. You have all your different outlets that you do, whether it's your modeling, your streaming, your podcasting with me, talking about fucking crazy shit. Like you like to get, obviously there's that similarity. And also, I mean, if you really want to go about it that way, Annie's is pretty much a self-made person. Annie, more or less does everything. Now, granted, and she gets a deal with the record producer and whatever.
Yeah, she networks. She does.
But she did it. I mean, it's her thing. And obviously, you're a very self-reliant person. You stand on your own 2 feet. And then lastly, which we kind of touched on, but it would be remiss to, kind of poke fun at you with some of those a little bit. Obviously, yes, in the time that I've known you, you have grown in immense ways. And much like Annie at the end of this movie, who starts pretty good and ends fucking thriving, you are a person I know who has done more self-reflection and learning about themselves and how to better themselves more than anybody I probably know. And you're a better person for it. And I very much think that I see that relationship between you and Annie very, very much on the same track, where you are both headed in the right direction with just better and better things ahead of you.
I really appreciate that. That's really sweet. I try.
You know what? I can't always be the guy telling you you're a bad driver. I also say I did never find a sandwich in your car. That is true. I would not eat it, but
Yeah, she's a little chaotic in that moment, maybe more than me.
Yes.
Yeah, there was a big change from me being, I'm depressed, I'm going to kill myself, like, this is all I joke about, this is all I say, to one day in conversation with Sam, I said, I believe in the strength of, the unbeatable strength and resiliency of the human spirit. To which Sam was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I distinctly remember this. I was like, that is not something you would have said years ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's really sweet to have someone who's known me through all of those phases and been my friend through all of them. So that's really, really nice to have that critique.
I appreciate
Love me some
you.
Annie Hall.
I appreciate you. And yeah, I mean, I'm not going to dunk on you. I'm not. What if I ended it and I was like, and just like Annie, Blue's a real bitch. Like,
there it is. There's the clip.
Yeah.
Goofy.
So yeah, that was fun.
This was different.
I think yours got a little bit closer than mine did. And also
it was tough.
Yours, the movie also, what are we good? None of us can be like, yeah, remember that time we robbed a bank? Like,
yeah,
can't really relate, but there is a lot of personal stories we can reflect on through everyone's been in a relationship that is crumbling or has failed, or, and we can relate to that. So I just feel like there was a lot more meat on the bone for your portion of the show today. Yeah.
It was, I loved watching both, and both are really great movies, and I'm glad to say, like, I have seen them. Usual Suspects and Annie Hall. Very excited to say that I've seen both. Marked them on my letterbox. Love it. But we need something with where the main character that you're supposed to be like isn't hiding their personality the whole time.
Yeah. That probably would have helped.
Find something else that would fit that. But I think this is a concept maybe we could revisit again. I liked doing this, like, personality quizzes and seeing maybe we can get something more movie focused and see if there's anything for us. Maybe we'll revisit it at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it'd be a great idea.
Yeah, it's fun.
But other than that, I think that's going to be the end of our episode for today, unless you got anything else you want to talk about.
I'm not that bad of a driver.
My life is in jeopardy.
I'm not that bad.
Twice a week, my life is in jeopardy. I may not see you by the time that I may be dead by the time this airs.
I sit there with my little coffee and I'm like, anyway, Sam, I'm really into 1970s psychedelic jazz funk right now, and I play that and I'm vroom, vroom. And that's about a live rendition of me driving you.
It's not that far off. Listen, I can see the thing is I can truthfully, I'm telling you this. I don't know how I can tell you, but I can sense your apprehension when we're driving, where I can tell that you want to do something fucking nuts. And I don't know if it's just like, I feel it in the air, or I sense you tense up or something, but I can feel that I'm like, if I wasn't in the car, something would have just went down. Like there would have been a sharp turn or a speed up or whatever. But yeah.
Yeah. I kind of have a hit my car type energy.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
maybe we'll watch Fast and Furious one day and I'll be like, oh my God, they drive like me.
I'm always down to watch Fast and Furious.
We might have to.
But on that note, thank you for listening to episode 3, guys. Rate, like, subscribe, share, do all that fun stuff. Comment, and again, comment below. I really want to know what you guys thought about the movie. Or comment below, wherever the fuck you see shit. Comment it, and I also really want to know, did you figure out that Kevin Spacey was Kaiser Sose? I want to know if Blue is super, super intelligent, or just regular intelligent. And we're going to go from there. All right. Bye.
Bye, guys.